From A&E, this is Biography.
Blanche DuBois, Stanley Kowalski, Big Daddy, all of them born in the fertile brain of Tennessee Williams.
All the material comes from the back of my head and right through my fingers onto the electric portable.
I never lied in my heart.
His work is so powerful that he came along once in a century.
He shocked audiences and rescued an art form.
He kept the American theater alive almost single-handedly during the 50s and the early 60s.
Until he was ridiculed as a has-been.
The critics murdered him, literally murdered him.
And finally destroyed himself.
He was, alas, one of the first casualties of alcoholism and drug addiction. Genius is a word that should, without a shred of doubt, be applied to Tennessee Williams.
Cornelius Williams, descended from an illustrious Tennessee family, but loud, hard-drinking, a ladies' man. Edwina Williams, daughter of a minister, mentally unstable, sexually repressed. Their son Tennessee inherited the best and the worst from both. In March 1911, he was born Thomas Lanier Williams in Columbus, Mississippi. Tom spent his infant years in this home belonging to the Episcopal Church, where his grandfather was a highly respected minister. Edwina stayed home and doted on Tom and his older sister, Rose. Cornelius, a traveling salesman, was usually out of town.
The marriage was a marriage made in hell, and he was happiest out on the road with the boys, playing poker and probably dallying a bit with the ladies, too, of the evening.
And when Cornelius was home, he bullied and terrorized his wife and young children. Edwina ignored her husband, reserving her affection for Tom and Rose. But she was also controlling, warning that any misbehavior would be punished by God. When Tom was 4 years old, the family moved to Clarksdale, another town in Mississippi. Already a needy child, Tom needed even more when he fell deathly ill.
My brother was a victim of diphtheria, and for a year he wasn't able hardly to get out of the house. His legs were practically skin and bone. He couldn't hardly walk.
But he could discover the world of words. His mother introduced him to writers like Shakespeare and Dickens. During Tom's 2-year illness, Edwina Williams grew even more protective of her frail son. Tom also spent hours with his sister Rose. The two became inseparable best friends. Then, in 1918, Tom's world was turned upside down. His father got a new job with the International Shoe Company. The Williams family was uprooted from rural Mississippi to St. Louis, one of the largest cities in America. Williams hated the town and his new school, which he compared to a jail. His misery was compounded because his incompatible parents were now under the same roof in this apartment building. In 1919, there was a third child, Dakin, and money was tight.
Every month, at the end of the month, when the bills came in, there was a Donnybrook in our house, because my father was very bombastic around the house and would shout at my mother, would shout at my sister.
Tom withdrew deeper into his private oasis of poetry and novels.
For a boy who was shy to the point of pain and sensitive to what then might have been called effeminacy, he was almost brutalized by schoolboys, and this was reinforced at home because his father couldn't stand the fact that he didn't turn into a football hero. The boy preferred to read poetry.
Tom was ridiculed by his macho dad, who mocked him as a sissy and wondered whether he was raising a homosexual. Mom wasn't a model parent either. She was manipulative, continually warning her children about men like their father.
The mother could at times be extremely difficult, being very puritanical about sex. And of course, the effect on the children was divisive, was destructive.
Rose and Tom found solace in each other. They played together, then when they were old enough, went to movies together at the local theater. They were similar in personality, best friends, and soulmates.
Rose was his one really great love. It was one to whom he was at all times faithful, as he was to his writing. They were the two major forces in his life.
But in her late teens, Rose began showing signs of mental problems, violent mood swings, hysterical crying, adding even more tension to the home. The breaking point came one night when Tom assaulted Rose with his most dangerous weapon, his words.
My brother met her coming down the stairs and said, "I never want to see your ugly face again." And that was a tremendous blow, because my sister at that time was just wavering between sanity and insanity. And the next day, she took a carving knife and went after my father with it.
Eventually, the family had Rose Williams committed to a mental hospital. Tom was devastated, and for the rest of his life feared that he too might go mad. Fortunately, there was an outlet: writing. He became more serious about it at age 19, when he entered the University of Missouri. Tom wrote poetry. "A kiss brings pain, and yet I'll kiss again." His father wasn't exactly proud. Tom's prowess in poetry was nothing to brag about at poker games, and Cornelius Williams flew into a rage when Tom flunked ROTC military training. He felt his son was a disgrace to the family, not a real man. He yanked Tom out of college and put him to work at International Shoe. By day, 21-year-old Tom stacked boxes in this warehouse in St. Louis. By night, he wrote. His tools were a typewriter, coffee, cigarettes, and persistence.
He typed ferociously on the typewriter, and he just pounded them, and he'd turn out a page in about a minute. And then he'd be dissatisfied and tear it out, and put another one in and type furiously again, maybe the same page 15 times, until everything was exactly right.
After 3 years in the shoe factory, Tom entered Washington University in St. Louis. At 24, he was one of the oldest students on campus. In 1936, he won first prize of $25 in a poetry competition. For the first time, Tom felt he might actually have real talent. So he entered one of his plays in a university drama contest. When it got 4th place, Tom's ego was crushed. He screamed at his professor, quit school, and stormed off campus. He wrote about himself, "Angry and bored. Wonder if I shall end up like Rose." The next year, 1937, it was on to college number 3, the University of Iowa. Once again, he wrote plays and acted in a student production. This time, he even graduated. And he decided Thomas Lanier Williams just wasn't a suitable name. So he named himself after the state settled by some of his ancestors. From now on, he would be Tennessee Williams. It was also time to move away from home. After considering a few possibilities, he decided to try his luck in New Orleans. In 1938, the day after Christmas, Tennessee Williams arrived in his new city, ready to begin a new life. New Orleans was known as a place where just about anything went. One of the first things to go was his virginity. Tennessee quickly realized he preferred the company of men.
I entered the